advice to anyone, even their phone, like take photos. Don't be awkward about it. Don't feel self-conscious about it, especially the people that you care and love about. Like take those photos. 5, 10, 20 years down the line, photos that might seem meh today could be really, a really good time capsule of the world around us.
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
doing?
I'm good.
Thomas, good to see you.
Good to see you, man. So, yeah, welcome back to another episode of Urban Story, guys. So today I have with me is Brian, right? So I just talked with Brian like 2 days ago, and now we just, have each other, meeting each other to see like what we're gonna capture. So, yeah, Brian, can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Brian Whitmore, here in Toronto, Canada, living here since 2006, and I'm a photographer. I do street photography, mostly downtown here, try to get out of the downtown as well as much as possible too, but mostly here. Do a lot of community theater photography as well out in Scarborough, doing publicity, production photos, headshots, that kind of stuff, so some diversity. I've been shooting since 2008 on my old school BlackBerry Pearl, what was it, like 0.2 megapixels, and then iPhoneography, and then around 2016 I got my first like camera, Sony FX30, and started off with architecture, cityscapes, evolved as a photographer into doing more street photography and people photography. So that's where I'm at now, always learning every day, and always looking to connect with other photographers in the city.
That's nice, man. So can you walk us through like what you're shooting today?
Yeah, so I've got the Nikon ZS, so full frame camera. I like the manual dials, and I also have the 40mm f2 as well as the 28mm f2.8 in the bag. So nice and small, compact, very light, and yeah, great stuff. I like those lenses a lot.
Okay, man. So it's nice to have you on this episode. So yeah, today happened a lot. We have a sunny day, pretty nice, and we have people running a marathon here in downtown Toronto. So let's see what we're gonna capture today, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, we got the marathon going on. So it's a nice surprise this morning. So I'm down here trying to get shots. Like everyone gets shots of runners, of course, but I'm trying to get like action shots. I always try to find like the moment in a photo. So right now here, we got the water folks, and just watch out that bag there. A lot of the water folks handing water to the runners, so I'm trying to get an action shot of like the handoff. So let's go get it.
What inspired you to start, like photography?
Oh wow. So how I started, or what? Okay, I'll start with why I started. Well, it's 2008. I was walking from work and I had my BlackBerry Pearl, and I thought, I'd love to document, the world around me. So I started off with what I call like a travelogue, which is like my walk from work to home. And I was working at like College Park and going to, the annex. And so I just took photos of like different points of the journey. So this intersection, this landmark from there to there.
Okay.
Crappy photos, but it kind of inspired me to like want to take more photos of the world around me. So start off the BlackBerry Pearl, iPhone, taking photos of not so much people as much as like, cityscapes, objects, like abstracts, that kind of thing. And I just always wanted to like document the world around me. I'm a really big fan of history and like historical photographs. So like old Toronto series, those Facebook groups and that kind of stuff. So I always think, document the world now, 5, 10, 20 years down the line. Photos that might seem meh today could be really, a really good time capsule of the world around us today. And just look at photos from the 70s, the 80s, how Toronto's so different. I love for like my photos to sort of join that group of photos to be like an archival evidence. And also, I'm a creative person. I also like to write a bit too on the side, but to show my creativity, my own spin on the world. So not just taking a random photo, but actually putting some composition to it, adding some light to it, or figuring out where the light is. And now these days, really trying to focus on the moment. So moments for me in my photos are the people and the actions they're taking. What I do and what I hope from it is by, when I'm old and gray and all that, I can look back and say, hey, I was there. Hey, this is what I saw. And hey, share it. It's something tangible to leave the world too. So whether people like it or not today, that's nice if they like it today.
So that is what inspired you. Like you want to, capture the moment around, save it for, later on the next generation, or maybe in the future, just you looking back those photos.
Yeah.
It's kind of like part the memory inside that. I feel the same, like when we are here, we create, not only we try to satisfy our creativity, but we also want to, how can I say it? We want to, have something to look back.
Yeah, 100%, right? And yeah, if people like it today, great. Like I'd love to get like gallery showing, and I was fortunate to have a photo as part of a gallery showing at Memento Film Lab a few months ago, and that was amazing. So also like to think about, okay, well, like to get into zines, or maybe at some point, not too far in the future, do a book. Thing is, I'm the worst curator of my own work, so what's the theme? Like I think I have an idea of the things I look for, but for like a theme to fill out an entire book, or that's something I'm still trying to figure out. And you get so attached to like a photo, so it's good for someone else to have some eyes on it as well, to give you some honest feedback and what other people respond to, as much as for me at the end of the day and what I'm happy with. Also got to think about the audience too, but my preferences are first, of course.
Are you doing this full time, or it's just another side hustle or hobby right now?
I say I'm a photography enthusiast, so I've done a few jobs here and there for like friends, some headshots, or I talk about like community theater, Scarborough players out in Scarborough doing their photographer in residence, so to speak. But I'd say, yeah, it's a hobby for the most part. A very serious hobby. I have gas like everyone else, though I think it reached a point where I got everything I need, like the basics, to be able to do some good work. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what gear you have. It's really about your eye and what you bring to the image and what you bring to the
Like your perspective, right?
Your perspective, yeah. Like when it comes to me and what I look for in an image, 3 things: light, composition, and moment. We talked about that a little earlier. So like light, like whether it's natural light from the sun or artificial light that you create through like flash in a softbox, if you're photographing a person, that's so important. That's number 1. And composition, probably from my time when I shot a lot of cityscapes, landscapes, like finding the scene, like even like Flatiron Building here, Goodham. It's like such an iconic building. So if you're in the area and you're taking photos, you'll probably want to get that in the background somewhere. So framing up the composition there. And then the moment, sometimes the actual weather. So if you're doing landscapes, like the sky and the clouds and sunset, if we're doing people, they're the moment. And I try to find people who are actually doing something, especially their hands or their face.
The action.
The action, right?
Yeah.
And then have that in the scene. So you have all 3 elements together. That to me is like the ultimate photo. It doesn't always happen. So yeah, that's definitely what I look for. And I learned that from this guy named Bob Christ. Back during COVID, like couldn't really see my mom that often. We're bubbling separately for the most part. And I want to get her a Christmas present. So I got her like Great Courses Plus. It was like an online like Skillshare. And I also have an account with it too. And he's a National Geographic photographer, and he has these lessons on how to do travel photography. And he talked about light, composition, and moment. And that was like revolutionary for me, that concept, to be able to articulate it that way. Because I always thought, I had the light composition, but I was always missing the moment. My photos were very sterile.
Okay.
So now that philosophy, those are 3 things I look for when I'm going out every time. Yeah.
That's nice, man. That's pretty nice. When you out, like you say, you're looking for lighting, compositions, and actions.
Yeah.
And then, like you just capture it first, or you think more about like, okay, what story you want to tell today, then you capture, or you just come there, let it come to you, and then you figure out a story later.
It depends. So on a random day, it'll be me taking the photo, and then if I got a collection of photos, trying to combine them in a way where I create a story that way. If I'm going to an event, let's say Italian food festival that happened this summer.
Okay.
I was there, took a lot of photos. Then I know what the story is, and I'll try to shoot for that story. And you're shooting an event, you do the, you get the wide shot, you get the medium shot, and you get the details, right? So you get those three things. So make sure you get enough of those kinds of photos. And then at the event, when I'm curating my photos, try to create that story that way. Always, like, that's pretty essential. And again, look for people doing something. Also, I know some photographers don't like this street photography, but I sometimes do like eye contact in my photos, so I don't mind if someone sees me take a photo of them. So I think that kind of creates a direct connection between them and the viewer. So it almost is like a portrait, a street portrait, just permission isn't given, but it's still that connection you get from someone in a portrait. So not all the time. If it happens, great. And sometimes I do ask for like a street portrait as well. Like someone has a great hat. Like I did that earlier today as well. Someone's wearing a birthday hat, and like, I love your hat. What's going on? It's like, my son is competing in the marathon. I'm here to support him. It's his birthday. Okay, great. So I asked, can I take your photo? And she said, yeah, sure, great. So I took it. And it's nice to be able to do that as well. And street portraiture is definitely something I hope to get into more. To be honest, I'm an introvert by nature, and extroversion is a learned behavior.
Okay.
So photography also helps me, reach out to people and talk to strangers and develop my conversation skills. So there's also that benefit as well to it. And so when I have those kind of moments, to be able to connect some directly and ask, hey, can I take your photo? Can we make an image together?
That's a beautiful moment.
It's a beautiful moment, right?
Yeah.
And I say yes. And then I always say, hey, here's my website. Send me an email. I'm more than happy to send you the images, and people are really, really happy to get those images. So I sent a bunch last night to folks I took photos of yesterday.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's a good habit to get into. Not just take a photo, and actually someone, Sheldon Patton, who is a fellow photographer here in Toronto, he has this great approach where he doesn't ask someone their photo, like, can I take a photo? Because that's taking and not giving something back. He says, can we create a photo together? Or that kind of thing. So it's more of a collaborative relationship in that photo rather than me just taking it, which I think is a great approach. So
that's a good approach.
It's a really good approach. So all credit to Sheldon. So that's something I try to adopt if I'm doing street portraits as well, and have that attitude. So I'm just switching from the 40 millimeter to the 28 because we're going inside St. Lawrence Market. When I go into like crowded areas, I like to go wide. I know some people don't like chaos in their images. I definitely am one of those people that does like chaos in my images, but the challenge is finding the order in the chaos. For example, especially if I do like a street festival or whatever, the people all around at the 28 millimeter, I'm in the throngs, right? So I have people here, arms cut off here, heads here. But if I find that one person, their face is clear, the sun's on there, they maybe are looking at me, they notice me taking a photo. But as you're looking in the image, you find that one person's like the anchor. It's like the calm in the storm, the safe harbor in the hurricane, right? So I love those moments. So in crowded areas, I'm never just randomly taking photos. It's usually because I see at least one element, even if it's small. It doesn't even have to be prominent, but just something there. If you're searching around like where's wall, like, there's someone we connect with.
Something that you connect, that you're interested in, that you can feel in it.
That's right, and work a little bit for, like a Where's Waldo, where, it's, I guess with Instagram, for example, social media, you probably want the subject that jumps out because you want people to see it immediately when you're scrolling. But I'm thinking about beyond just social media, that instant scroll, like if someone spends time with an image and they see that thing and they feel a little sense of like, I did the work and I found it, and you feel good about it, right? Some sort of like success, accomplishment. So that's how I approach, especially crowd scenes in like at events or even St. Lawrence Market. Yeah, so I switched to 28 millimeter.
Let's see what we got to capture in there.
Let's go inside.
Very good.
St. Lawrence Market.
Pretty good.
I love St. Lawrence Market. There's always something going on. I love the smell. I love the energy. You have all different kinds of people from all over the city, different walks of life coming here. I love the color, and like, it's chaos, but organized and very pretty. And depending on the time of day, when you come in, you'll have the sun streaming through the windows, creating like light shafts. So I've been here a few times where I've been lucky enough to get some light shafts, especially over there. Beautiful stuff.
That's pretty quick. You don't stand still and waiting for composition. You just walk and then you just snap the photo. What do you think about that? Like, why you doing that?
It depends. So, right, it's kind of a mindset. There's the first mindset, which is like being a fisher. So you stand in one place, you wait for the light, you wait for the composition, and then you wait for like maybe a person to walk through, and that's your moment component. But then also being like a hunter, where you're walking around a lot. As a place like this where it's so busy, there's moments happening all the time. Sometimes I feel if you stay in one place for too long, there's all kinds of other moments happening over here. Yeah, the scenery, I love the scenery, I like the background, but the background doesn't really change. So unlike doing like a cityscape shot where 6 o'clock in the evening, you're looking at the sky, how are the clouds today, how's the sunset? And then when you see the sunlight is hitting the clouds perfectly, you hop an Uber, go to Polson Pier, and you wait there for the right time for when the sun goes down. This is a little different because this environment doesn't really change. It's the people that change, so people are everywhere. You want to be able to catch every moment you can. If you find a composition that you really want to come back to, it's always there. It's always there. Right now, I'm definitely in more of a hunter perspective. Here, there's a great scene. So I love how the light's coming, like I was saying before, how the light's coming through the window, and I like the green door and the staff only. It's just really soft light. So here I could spend maybe 20 minutes waiting for someone to walk through and have that as a composition. Even on its own, I just like it even as a still life, even no person walks through. I just like how it looks. So when you're fishing, you get so wedded to a composition and you don't move at all. Sometimes it is worthwhile to change it up again. So whether it's moving the camera up, moving the camera down, changing your physical position. As creatives, photographers, we have images in our mind. I think it's a good idea when you go out to have an idea of the kinds of photos you want, because that'll determine what lenses you get, right? Because the lens you get will help determine the photo. So be conscious of that. But when you do find location, you find a composition, move around, because the subject doesn't listen to you. The subject is doing their own thing. So you got to be as flexible as possible to be able to respond and get the best photo you can with the circumstances that you have.
You have to work the scene. You cannot just stand there. Yes.
You said it so much better than me. But yeah, so that was an example of that where I had a composition in mind, but same location, but a different look, different position, because the subject was doing something different from what I initially envisioned.
Oh, that's
now, the
great.
place like that, I could go back to again, because again, St. Louis market doesn't really change. So I could go back there every day for the next week. Exact same light, especially this time of year where the sun is up in that position, and maybe get the photo I want. That just take a long time. Probably
yeah,
this video.
Photography is all about, like patience, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
So what do you think about that? Like how patience affect you when you do photography, how it affect your life?
Definitely in photography, you have to be patient. I feel fortunate that I'm already a pretty patient person. I'm very much, when I put my mind to something, it's hard for me to stop. So creature of inertia. It might take a lot of work to get me to start or commit to something, but once I do start, once I do commit, I could be at it for a long time. Like talking about going to Polson Pier, taking a skyline shot of the city of Toronto with the clouds and the sun. I could be there for 3 hours straight with a tripod, sitting there, waiting for the exact moment I want. I'm not really, when I'm fishing, it's hard to satisfy me and like the image I have in my head, what I want to get that perfect shot. When I'm hunting, it's a little different. Like when you're hunting, the whole thing is to move around, get as much exposure to the scene as possible, because you never know what you're going to get. So in that case, I may have an idea of like kinds of photos I want, but I don't know what they look like until I go around. So here, hunting, patience, not really that important, But when I'm fishing, patience is 100%. It's kind of like two mindsets. And from day to day, it switches. Like if if I'm having a slump of a photography, I might default to fishing. That's my default position. That's what I start off with. That's my comfort zone. And so I'll go and get the old type shots you used to get, like cityscapes or just waiting and being patient. Don't have to really think about it that much. But on other days when I'm really feeling photography, feeling motivated, feeling good, that's when I go into hunting mode, because I trust that with my perspective and my skill, I'll get the kinds of photos I want, even though I don't know what they look like yet. I have confidence I'll get, like today, beautiful day outside, great day here in Sandler's Market. I know I'll get photos, so I'm a lot more comfortable with moving on and not waiting for the perfect shot, because a shot will come of some sort or another. So I have enough confidence in that.
Just this, it's an iPhone 16.
Yeah?
It gives me really good resolution, especially when I edit it.
Yeah.
This is a great morning for doing architecture. The sun is fantastic.
100%, yeah. And I used to shoot a lot with my phone as well. iPhone 16 is a lot better than some actual cameras these days. So yeah, good zoom and everything.
Yeah, anyway,
yeah,
enjoy.
cheers, enjoy your day, eh?
All right.
They're not like angry at me or suspicious or whatever. And oftentimes if they ask us questions, they might have a little interest in photography, and it might be just with their phones or most of their phones. But and that's okay. I always try to encourage them, like, get some great photos with your phone. Nothing wrong against it. So any way people can get into photography, it's good. Like smartphones, yes. Little like digicams, whatever. No stigma. Just get out there and shoot.
Are you like, using a phone more often when you take photos?
I don't use my phone. So I also have this Ricoh GR3X.
Okay.
And so this is like my everyday carry. It's in my pocket all the time.
Okay.
Because I'm not carrying this all the time, right? And good APS-C sensor, amazing image quality. I never feel naked with this because it's always on me. I want to get the, whenever Ricoh chooses to, if they come out of the Ricoh GR4, that's 28 millimeters, that'd be amazing. I can't wait for that. Because also too, I'm trying to get more into taking photos of friends and family, especially family. Like my mom's getting older, want to make sure I record and take note, because like we were talking about earlier, images 5, 10, 20 years down the line, they might not matter so much or seem to matter now, but down the line, those memories really do count. So I want to be able to have those photos on hand for people I love, people I care about. Want to go to parties or get-togethers of friends, I'll be that guy these days, taking photos and lining people up. And people, my friends have been pretty good. They're not annoyed by it, but I'm sure some people might be annoyed by stuff like that. Even if they are annoyed in that moment, 5 years down the line, they'll thank you for taking those photos.
Yeah, they're happy with it because they have memory for that.
Yeah, because you're persistent. So advice to anyone, even their phone, like take photos. Don't be awkward about it. Don't feel self-conscious about it, especially the people that you care and love about. Like take those photos.
I feel it because like sometimes when I go, I don't bring camera with me more often. Right? So mostly it's the phone that I'm taking photos for family. And the thing is that you have a good one pocket camera like that, so that is pretty nice, man. I think I'm gonna get that one soon.
Yeah, I hear like pocket cameras are rare beasts in the wild these days because everyone's getting them. So I was fortunate to get this a couple of years ago. As I get more comfortable with, just being out there and seeing the camera and people seeing me and me being okay with it, and easier to like really take your mind off the gear and think about the image and what you're trying to communicate in your story.
Yeah, so you've been doing this for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And when is the time that you feel that this is the passions that you want to follow?
Definitely back 2016, 2017 when I got that Sony A6000, because what that represented was like a real investment in the photography, because everyone has a smartphone. I was using the iPhone like 4, iPhone 3GS, iPhone 6, and And those cameras are good for the time, right? But it was kind of like half in, half out because it's on me anyway. But when you put those dollars towards whatever gear it is, it doesn't have to be the best, but it's just a proactive investment in photography. And at that point, it's like, okay, I'm taking this seriously. You know, maybe not as a professional to get paid all the time, but investing in yourself, investing in the craft, rather than it just being like a side thing that you just do because you have the phone in your pocket. So I'd say 2016 when I got that first Sony A6000.
That is when you think like, yeah, this is the one that I want to chase. This is the passion I think I gotta do.
Yeah. And then the more I got into it, and the more comfortable I got, the more I wanted to invest into it. So went from a Sony 6000 to Nikon Z5, now the Nikon ZF. So it's just me reinvesting in myself. Again, any camera is good, right? It's a photographer, not the gear. But for me, it's just, that's when I got serious about it. Great thing about the photography since back then, my photography is kind of like a biography of me in a bit, in a sense of like my development as a photographer is a journey. I feel like sort of like a story of me being less shy around people, less introverted, because I always try to take photos of scenes. And then what I do, I go in Photoshop, like I'm doing a cityscape from Riverside Park, you know, looking towards downtown, the CN Tower. If there's people in the shot, I go in and clone them out. I didn't want any people in there. I wanted to be like a landscape photo, right? No humans whatsoever. And so going from there to now, where I'm totally focused on people, and the actual buildings are just a backdrop, that's like a huge development for me. And sort of like the development of me from being an observer to being a participant in events, and a participant in one taking photos of. And I like that. I think it makes my photos more personal, less sterile, have more warmth to them. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
What you say when you first start, you know, what is the most challenging things for you when you first start photography?
I guess learning the principles, like anyone else, like exposure triangle, like really understanding the relationship between shutter speed and aperture and ISO, balancing that out. And also, yeah, like what to shoot. Like there's so many things to shoot, just figure out like a genre that I'm really into. Like start off cityscapes and then moving on to street. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, what to point my camera at, and also being selective. It's easy to be spray and pray and shoot every single thing, but like what I'm noticing these days is I'm shooting less, not for lack of effort. Like I'll go out same amount of time, though a little less these days, but for let's say 2 hour shoot, when in the past I might get 500 photos because it's digital, right? Now I may get closer to 150, 200, let's say. And of those, a lot of them are crap. But the point is I'm pressing the shutter less because I'm like more selective and just trying to like not just take photos of every single little thing, but things that actually resonate with me. If you have working at something, you have a career and you love it, it's not work anymore. So then at that point, it's easier to get paid for it. And I do love photography, so it'd be nice to be able to get paid, and I love it, all that. But depending on what I'm doing in photography, then I don't want to get to a point where I start hating it because I'm so dependent on it for money. And there's...
It stress you out.
Yeah. And also, I guess if you're working for, let's say, a commercial employee or employer, there might be those differences between like what your vision is and what their vision is, and you kind of have to shut off your creative side. Still be competent, know what you're doing to be able to implement your employer's vision. That's the job. But I do like being able to define what my work is, what it looks like, rather than someone tell me what it needs to look like. And I guess that's the professional side of it, right? To force yourself.
Yes.
And I'm invested in all my work, right?
You spend time, you spend, you know, like money in that. You learn your craft, and then just like sometimes when you work in the creative side, it's like other people. When you work in a team, sometimes you have to follow their vision.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you want to put the idea in, but they don't want to take that idea. I know it's just like, you know, it's their vision. They want to make it, but like for our creativity. It's like sometimes just feel like what I put it in is not worth, so I rather do my stuff.
Yeah. Now, not to say that collaboration isn't good. Like, I love collaboration. There's a difference between collaboration and then working for someone else. If the person you're working for is collaborative and asking your input, then that helps. But like collaboration with others. So like I'm going to be doing a portfolio shoot with someone I met on the streets in a couple of weeks, and that'd be a collaborative thing, right? I don't do it very often, but something like build portfolio, portraits, that kind of thing, and who knows what I could do with that and do more of that with other creators. When I'm out on a photo walk with other photographers, like oftentimes we're walking together, I see a great scene, great light, and I'll get like, for example, my photographer friend Sean Aiken, oftentimes we're on a photo walk, like, hey Sean, can you stand there and I'll just take a photo of you? And then he's my subject, right? And that's a collaborative effort, and he's a photographer, he knows the kinds of things I'm looking for. So that is fun, that is cool. And that's art that builds community, and that's art that brings people together. I don't know, we bring money into it, employer telling you what to do. I don't do it, so maybe I shouldn't speak. I have no authority here, but it's like, I just think, you know, that's something I would be really paying attention to make sure I still enjoy what I'm doing.
Change the battery?
That's right. So this camera gets maybe 300 to 400 photos per battery.
For full battery?
Yeah, and I carry 4 batteries with me, so more than enough for the day. And I also have a battery pack as well. This is mostly for my Ricoh, because the Ricoh batteries are really small and they go fast. I have 4 of those as well.
What is your approach when you try to telling a story through an image?
My approach is the scene first. You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Scene first. Like, where am I? What is happening? So that's where like the wide establishing shot, not necessarily a wide angle lens, but at least get perspective of like what the area looks like. So for example, Pride Parade. I want to get a shot of the entire parade to show like this is happening. It's very obvious what it is, when it is, what it is. And then I go a little deeper, so I get those shots first, and oftentimes with 28, and then I'll do more medium shots, and so like people doing stuff, activities, that kind of thing. So like you're on the street, photos of like this person walking here, right? Like full body. Once I get those shots, then I go more on the details. So that's maybe when I'll bust out definitely the 40 and go more closer to the faces, expressions, hand gestures, more like medium shots, and tell those stories. Because as much as those photos, I love those photos, even like the 50 millimeter lens and whatnot, to me it's hard to tell the story with just that lens and just like telephoto lenses, because you get the subject, but you don't actually know where they are. So I'm a Toronto photographer in Toronto. I like to show in my photos that I am here. It's a unique place. It's got unique landmarks, unique places to be, right? And that's also too, even when you look at like my Instagram, is when I was doing a lot of cityscapes and landscapes, I just post single photos, because the single photo tells the entire story. There's no people in them, but it tells the entire story. Now, when I post that Pride Parade, it's a photo story of 9 photos. You have to swipe through, because those photos on their own don't tell the story completely, but you see them in a series, a sequence, that's the story. The sum is greater than the parts type thing, right? And by the end of you swiping through those 9 photos, I hope to leave some sort of impression or feeling that you were there. You have an idea what it's like to be there. You know what's happening. That's my style. Every once in a while, I may get like a street shot that in one photo encapsulates everything. So it could be enough to be a single photo in a post. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's great. But yeah, I'm more okay with like posting multiple photos in one post than I used to be. Can I take a photo of you with your medal? Can I take a photo of you with your medal? Is that okay? Congratulations. Hey, adds character. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Congratulations. Photography wise, coming back from New York, like you point your camera anywhere, it's like a photo, right? So even like when I was in New York in August, coming back, it's like coming down from New York, coming back to Toronto, and Toronto's great, but like New York is just like, whoo. But what that taught me is that you got to be able to work with what you got, and Toronto has a lot of great stuff, and it forced me to shoot differently. So how I shot in New York isn't the same I shoot in Toronto. That's okay. You gotta find, so if you're in a small town, rural, whatever, you still get out, shoot the streets. If there's not a lot of people, shoot the buildings. If there's not a lot of people, shoot the signs. Or there's different ways to just go out and shoot and do that. So that's a little bit of a block there. It's just really short. I also do some writing as well, so writer's block has happened in the past.
So how you get through that? What you do to get through when you have a creative block?
I sit staring at the screen for hours.
You don't do nothing else?
Taking a break is good.
Okay.
Taking a break is good. When you, same with photography and writing, it's like you start something, you're one kind of person. If you experience a block, take some time away from it. Live life a little bit. It could be a few weeks, a few days, could be a year even. Grow as a person. You'll change, come back to the material with like a different perspective because you had experiences since the last time you touched it. So like that's the way I do it. I try to take breaks for not too long. I find that helps. How do I keep motivated? I have an idea of like what I'm capable of. It's just having the willpower to do it and execute on it. So when it comes to photography, some days I may be like, oh, I don't want to go out, or the sun's not out. It just feels very hard. Like I told you before, I'm like a creature of inertia. It might be difficult for me to start something, but once I start, it's all in, right? So getting over that initial hump, a little bit of self-guilt helps, where it's like, I think to myself, okay, it's the end of the day. I have the option of either going out and shooting or not shooting. At the end of the day, I end up at the exact same place at home in my bed. But the difference is, did I shoot or not? So might as well go out, force yourself to shoot, get what you can. So at least at the end of the day, even if you don't have anything, quote unquote, you at least say, I went out there and I did my best. Because you know the saying, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So that helps me, that's my way. And it's just loving photography in general, but like, yeah, just, I don't want to miss out on any opportunities and leave them on the table because I wasn't out there shooting when I could have been. I had the option to do so and I didn't choose it. So yeah, that's kind of my way of doing that, if that makes any sense.
What is
What
is the number one lesson that you want to share for your younger self or people who just start this creative journey?
Don't be afraid of people, in the sense of be okay with engaging with people, don't avoid them. Like if you're taking photos of a scene, like include the people, and if they talk to you, that's okay. Invite the conversation, bring them into your process. I think that's probably the number one thing, because I think like shyness gets in the way. Like you're walking around the camera and you say, oh, that's gonna be a great photo. But you let that sort of voice in the back of your head that's shy get in the way and you don't take the shot. Just take the shot. And if they come up to you and talk to you about it or have concerns, fine, whatever, delete it afterwards if they say they don't want to be in the shot. But more often than not, they're like either okay if they won't say anything, or they'll come up and talk to you about it, ask you about it, just be honest. Yeah, don't avoid those engagements. That's probably my number one. I practice the manual focus here and there, and if I'm in a certain spot, I'm not moving, then yeah.
That's when you're fishing.
That's when, I guess technically, yeah, I'm fishing, yeah.
I didn't know that until today. You have some good term for that, fishing and hunting.
Fishing and hunting, yeah.
Where did you learn that?
I don't know, somewhere on YouTube. Like, I think a lot of photographers use those terms or something similar to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, fishing, you're standing in one place. Like, let's say I really like that crane. I think it's a really good frame of like that person's walking through, right? I'll sit here, wait for someone like that to walk through, and well, he's walking the other direction now. But then that's fishing, right? You have your composition and you just wait for things to come to you. And then hunting is like
we're doing from the morning until now.
Exactly, walking around, right? The closest thing that we've done to fishing today is in St. Lawrence Market with that green door, and I was standing there for like 5 minutes. That's sort of like my comfort zone, but the hunting part is the part where I find you're engaging with people more because you're getting closer to them, right? And that's the part I'm always practicing, trying to get better at. And at the end of the day, I'm really proud of those hunting photos because those are chance encounters that if you weren't out on the street in the first place, walking around, would have happened and you weren't there to document it. So, and also on the flip side too, there are times when I've missed shots and I wish I got it and I might feel bad about it, but I console myself with the fact that there are moments happening at any given time everywhere. So maybe that moment wasn't for you, but don't worry, keep on going out, keep on shooting. There will be a moment for you. And when it happens, be thankful for it, and don't sweat so much about those shots that you miss.
So yeah, man, it's a good walk today. There's a lot of things that you share. I learned a lot, a new term, hunting, fishing. That's a good term. I just learned it today from Brian. How do you feel about what we've been, having conversations and the shoot today?
Oh, it felt great. Like, I honestly think I got some really great shots, and the conversation's great. Like, thanks to you, Thomas, for asking me to be on the show. Looking forward to seeing it on the YouTubes, and I know you do a great job. And yeah, it's really engaging, talking about what I care about, what I look for in a scene, and it's been really good for me to really think about how I shoot and be more considerate of it. And if there's anything in this video that others find helpful, great, because we have to expand photography, and don't gatekeep. And so if there's other photographers that have other lessons or other things that they want to share it, and let's get more people involved in photography and build the community. Get more work out there and support each other. So anything that this video can do to help that, I'm happy to be part of it.
So can you let the audience know where to find your work through Instagram?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Brian Whitmore Photography, and my website is brianwhitmorephotography.com, and you can find my portfolios there and Instagram. I'm also on Vero, Brian Whitmore Photography as well. And yeah, go out there, follow if you can, I'll follow back. And yeah, thank you for supporting our work, my work and Thomas's work, and photography in general.
All right, guys, thank you guys for another episode. We're here, and this is the goodbye from the City of Love.